You're listening to the Bare Metal Cyber Prepcast, created to help you succeed in your PMP certification journey. Learn more at baremetalcyber.com, where additional prepcasts, books, and training materials await. Let's get started. Agile and hybrid environments create situations where priorities, compliance, and governance collide in ways that can test even experienced project managers. The discipline that separates professional practice from improvisation is remembering that the backlog is your policy, not just a wish list. Agile first choices mean reordering the backlog rather than making ad hoc escalations, preserving the sprint goal as the orienting compass, and verifying outcomes with demonstrations. In hybrid contexts, where governance and gates still exist, the principle is consistent: preserve cadence and honor gates. Protecting rhythm and ensuring traceability are what build trust with both stakeholders and auditors. Artifacts provide the foundation. The product backlog is the transparent record of priorities. The sprint goal defines the unifying purpose of an iteration, and the definition of ready and the definition of done set quality boundaries. DOR clarifies when work is ready to be pulled into a sprint, while DOD defines when work can be considered complete, including compliance checks if required. Governance thresholds exist above these to determine when changes must be escalated. When conflicts arise, these artifacts are not just reference points, they are the rules of the game. Applying them visibly reassures teams and stakeholders alike. In this lab, your goal is to see how cadence can be maintained, while external pressure pushes for shortcuts. Score yourself by asking whether you kept the sprint goal intact, whether you consulted the backlog ordering policy, and whether you respected the definition of done. Note which artifact you would check first and which benefit owner or compliance owner you would brief. By practicing in this way, you reinforce reflexes, protect cadence, use artifacts, involve owners, and update records. It is not about memorizing a script. It is about conditioning yourself to act systematically when urgency tempts improvisation. The first case is a mid-sprint disruption. A vice president pushes a must-have user story and insists it be delivered immediately, even though the sprint backlog is full and compliance testing is already scheduled. The team feels the pressure but knows there is no spare capacity. The VP frames it as urgent, and morale is at risk if the team is forced into unsustainable overtime. This is not just a backlog problem. It is a people problem too. The project manager must uphold cadence, protect quality, and respect governance, all while managing a senior stakeholder's urgency. The artifacts to consult are the sprint backlog, the sprint goal, and the backlog ordering policy. The sprint backlog reveals whether capacity exists. It does not. The sprint goal keeps the team anchored on what they committed to achieve. The backlog ordering policy, managed by the product owner, defines how new priorities are handled. Together, these artifacts prevent the situation from being framed as arbitrary. They make the decision about evidence and process, not about personalities. This is the power of visible rules. They depersonalize conflict. The correct approach is to negotiate a swap with the product owner, reaffirm the sprint goal, and ensure that the definition of done remains intact. If the VP's story is critical, something of equal or lesser value must be dropped transparently from the sprint backlog. This ensures the team does not overcommit, cadence is preserved, and compliance tests are not skipped. Stakeholders see that urgency is respected, but governance and quality are protected. It is a balanced response, transparent, policy-driven, and traceable. The decision is logged, ensuring traceability for both governance and retrospectives. Other responses fail in predictable ways. Accepting the request and hoping the team can make it work undermines sustainable pace and sets a precedent that the backlog can be bypassed. Secretly skipping compliance tests to fit in extra work jeopardizes quality and exposes the organization to regulatory risk. Escalating immediately to a change control board is excessive unless thresholds are triggered. It signals that the project manager is avoiding facilitation. Each shortcut either erodes trust or breaks compliance. The transparent backlog swap avoids both, proving that agility is not chaos but disciplined responsiveness. The predictive analog of this situation would be a change request raised through integrated change control. In that environment, the project manager would complete an impact analysis, consult baselines, and seek approval before altering scope. The agile environment handles the same principle differently. Backlog policies and sprint goals replace baselines, but the discipline is the same. This shows that frameworks may change, but the principles of impact analysis, traceability, and governance remain constant. Experienced professionals see beyond labels. They look for evidence-based decision-making. The heuristic from this scenario can be summarized in a sequence. Start with the sprint goal, because it anchors the team. Apply the backlog policy to negotiate swaps transparently. Keep the definition of done intact to protect quality and compliance. Log the decision so that governance bodies and retrospectives have evidence. This rhythm preserves cadence, respects governance, and balances stakeholder urgency with team sustainability. When teams and leaders see this rhythm applied consistently, trust grows, and urgency can be managed without eroding quality. A common pitfall here is treating velocity points as promises. Teams may feel pressured to deliver more points than capacity allows, but this misinterprets what points are for. Points are planning aids, not contracts. The sprint goal and backlog ordering policy are what matter. When stakeholders equate points with commitments, conflict arises. It is the project manager's responsibility to educate stakeholders and protect the team from this misinterpretation. By redirecting focus to goals, policies, and quality definitions, the manager reframes the conversation constructively. This case also demonstrates why backlog ordering policies must be visible and agreed upon before conflicts arise. When a VP demands a new feature, the product owner can point to the policy and say, "This is how we handle urgent requests." The project manager reinforces this by facilitating alignment, not by inventing rules on the spot. Policies created during calm moments protect teams during turbulent ones. They make conflicts less about authority and more about procedure. This predictability is one of the hidden strengths of agile governance. It is equally important to protect the definition of ready and definition of done. If new work is not ready, pulling it in creates waste. If quality standards are relaxed, defects multiply. The DOR and DOD are agreements that ensure cadence produces usable increments. Inserting work that violates them undermines the credibility of each sprint. This is why preserving them matters as much as preserving cadence. They ensure that what is delivered is not just fast but reliable. Quality shortcuts may win a week but lose long-term trust. Another lesson here is how facilitation builds credibility with senior stakeholders. When a VP makes a demand, simply saying no creates confrontation. By walking through the backlog policy, showing capacity limits, and offering a transparent swap, the project manager reframes the conversation. The VP sees that the request is being treated seriously but within the agreed system. This builds confidence, even when the answer is effectively not now. Over time, stakeholders learn to trust the process and bring their requests in the right form. This reduces future conflict and reinforces governance. The team's morale is also at stake. Teams that are forced to accept extra work or cut quality feel unprotected. Over time, they disengage. Teams that see their leaders uphold sustainable pace and quality standards build loyalty and resilience. They know they may be asked to stretch in true emergencies, but they also know those requests will be transparent and justified. This culture of respect is what keeps teams healthy in agile and hybrid environments. Protecting morale is not separate from governance. It is part of governance. This first scenario demonstrates the balance of people and process in an agile-heavy environment. Stakeholder urgency and team fatigue collide with scope discipline and compliance needs. The project manager's response is not to choose one side, but to hold both together. By consulting artifacts, applying backlog policy, reaffirming the sprint goal, and protecting the definition of done, they preserve cadence and protect quality. Stakeholders are heard, teams are protected, and governance is satisfied. This is what disciplined agility looks like in practice. For more cyber-related content and books, please check out cyberauthor.me. Also, there are other prepcasts on cybersecurity and more at baremetalcyber.com. The second case shifts us from a sprint backlog conflict to a flow breakdown in a Kanban environment. The in-progress column has ballooned, cycle times are stretching, and stakeholders are frustrated because they want predictable delivery dates. This is a classic signal that work in progress has grown beyond capacity, and the system has lost its balance. The problem is not simply a backlog issue, but a governance issue as well. When flow breaks down, trust erodes. The project manager's role is to respond not with status meetings or new headcount alone, but with evidence-based adjustments that restore flow and credibility. Artifacts provide the lens for analysis. The Kanban board itself shows where bottlenecks form, and the board policies define how work is supposed to flow through each column. Work in progress limits, or WIP limits, are the discipline mechanism, constraining the number of items in flight. The cumulative flow diagram, or CFD, provides a visual record of flow stability. Flat or bulging bands mean queues are growing. These artifacts turn frustration into evidence. Instead of arguing about whether the team is busy enough, the project manager can show exactly where flow has broken and why. The professional response is to enforce WIP limits, swarm the team on the bottleneck column, and split large items that are clogging the system. By doing this, flow is restored because work stops starting and starts finishing. Once flow stabilizes, the project manager uses throughput data from the CFD to create a forecast range for stakeholders. Instead of one exact date, they can be told, for example, based on the last 4 weeks, this class of work completes in 5 to 7 days. This approach is transparent, policy-driven, and evidence-backed. It protects cadence by focusing on finishing before starting new work. Other responses fall into common traps. Adding more people immediately treats the symptom but not the system, and often slows things further because onboarding takes time. Ignoring the ballooning WIP and hoping it will normalize is naive. Systems do not correct themselves without intervention. Increasing status meetings creates noise rather than flow, consuming more time without finishing items. Each of these actions may feel active, but does not address the policy foundation. By contrast, tightening WIP and swarming demonstrates disciplined responsiveness. It shows stakeholders that the team is not ignoring their concerns, but addressing them through system rules. This case highlights that Kanban's success depends on respecting flow policies consistently. When WIP limits are treated as optional, bottlenecks are inevitable. When CFDs are ignored, early signals of trouble go unseen. The project manager's responsibility is not to add bureaucracy, but to ensure that the existing rules are respected and visible. By doing so, they protect cadence, work completes predictably, forecasts are based on evidence, and stakeholders see stability. Agility here is not about moving faster, but about moving consistently. Predictability is what builds credibility with sponsors and customers alike. The third case in this drill brings us back to a hybrid environment where compliance intersects with cadence. A regulatory gate is scheduled in 3 weeks, but the backlog is still moving as discovery continues. Stakeholders worry that the evidence pack for the gate will not be ready. The project manager is under pressure to freeze change immediately or risk missing the gate. This is a situation where hybrid tailoring principles matter. Cadence must continue so that value discovery is not halted, but gates must be honored with evidence. Both dimensions must be satisfied at once. The artifacts to consult here are the definition of done, which in this project includes compliance checks, the gate review checklist, and the evidence pack template. The DoD ensures that every completed backlog item is compliance ready by default. The checklist clarifies what regulators will expect, and the evidence pack provides the format for presenting it. Together, these artifacts prove that cadence can produce gate-ready evidence incrementally. By leaning on them, The project manager avoids the false choice between freezing discovery and ignoring governance. The artifacts show that both can be respected simultaneously. The disciplined response is to identify and deliver a minimal compliance slice that produces the evidence required for the gate. This slice is demonstrated in a sprint review or demo and captured in the evidence pack. By doing so, the backlog continues to evolve, but regulators still receive what they need at the checkpoint. Cadence is preserved, gates are honored, and evidence is maintained. Stakeholders see that urgency has been addressed without derailing flow. Governance sees that compliance has not been compromised. The decision is transparent, traceable, and policy-driven. Alternative paths undermine credibility. Freezing all change halts discovery and wastes time, often creating bottlenecks when work must restart later. Skipping evidence and relying on verbal sign-offs risks rejection during audit or review. Eroding trust. Rebaselining the project prematurely consumes energy without actually producing evidence. Each of these shortcuts either damages cadence or fails governance. By contrast, delivering a compliant slice and capturing evidence shows that hybrid projects can adapt without breaking. It is the balance that hybrid tailoring is designed to achieve. This case demonstrates why including compliance checks in the definition of done is so powerful. When compliance is built into every increment, evidence is produced naturally, without last-minute scrambling. Teams can continue to move through backlog items while producing artifacts that satisfy gates. Regulators see discipline, stakeholders see progress, and the project manager maintains trust on all sides. The DoD is not just a quality statement, it is a compliance safeguard. In regulated hybrid environments, it is the single most important artifact for protecting cadence while honoring gates. Across these scenarios, priority changes, mid-sprint, flow breakdowns in Kanban, and hybrid gate pressures, the principle is consistent. Cadence must be protected, and governance must be honored. In agile contexts, this means backlog policies and sprint goals come first. In Kanban, it means respecting WIP and using throughput-based forecasts. In hybrid, it means producing compliant slices that feed gates naturally. In every case, artifacts anchor the response: sprint goals, backlog policies, CFDs, DoD, and gate checklists. These are not just tools for the team. They are the evidence that stakeholders, sponsors, and regulators trust. The pitfalls are predictable as well. Accepting work without analysis undermines backlog discipline. Adding people to fix flow problems ignores system rules. Freezing all change to prepare for gates destroys cadence. Skipping evidence damages compliance. Each of these errors comes from reacting to pressure rather than following artifacts and policies. The project manager's job is to resist improvisation and demonstrate structured responsiveness. By doing so, they prove that agile and hybrid projects can be both adaptive and accountable. These drills show that agility is not about speed alone. It is about disciplined flow. Protecting cadence is the only way to build predictability. Honoring gates is the only way to maintain compliance. When both are respected, benefits are realized consistently. When either is sacrificed, trust evaporates. Practicing these scenarios trains project managers to hold both perspectives together: value delivery through cadence and compliance through evidence. It is this balance that defines professional project management in agile and hybrid environments. Thanks for tuning in to the Bare Metal Cyber Prepcast, your trusted source for cybersecurity news and insights. Remember to subscribe at baremetalcyber.com so you never miss an update. And visit cyberauthor.me for best-selling cybersecurity books that equip you with expert knowledge. Until next time, stay secure and stay vigilant.